Hello to all the outlaws out there. Today I'm talking about Jimmy. This is the first Jimmy book by Richmal Crompton, and there were two, and Jimmy was followed by Jimmy again. There are also a collection of stories that went unpublished but have recently been published by the Just William Society and given out each year for its membership. But we'll start with the first book here. I've recently read this book. I started off with the Armada version, which was published in 1965. Unfortunately, I quickly realised that this was not the whole collection of stories. So then I found the Newness hardback of Jimmy, which was published in 1949. But who is Jimmy? Jimmy was a Richmal Crompton invention aimed at going for a younger market than William. I guess if people read Jimmy and liked it as they grew up, then they would start reading William. It was a great marketing technique. But Jimmy is so much more than that. He's a fantastic 7 3/4-year-old boy who lives with his parents and his brother Roger. Along the way, they adopt Sandy the dog, and we get to watch these adventures. Jimmy, being younger than his brother Roger, really looks up to him, kind of idolises him, and really wants to be part of everything that he's doing. Roger has a group of friends and they call themselves the Three Musketeers. The other two Musketeers are Charles and Bill, and they have another friend called Toothy who hangs around with them every now and then. Now Jimmy only has one real friend, and that's Bobby Peaslake, who's the same age as him. They hang around together, and often when they're expelled from the Three Musketeers adventures, they decide to do versions of those adventures themselves, often coming out on top, to be honest. Of course, we also have some girls in the stories as well, and we have Sally, who's a bit older than Jimmy, but not as old as Roger. She has a thing for Roger and Jimmy has a thing for her, so you've got the nice little dynamic there, where Jimmy just wants to do everything for her, but she tends to be not interested. And we also have the fantastic character of Araminta Palmer. She's 5 years old, so much younger than Jimmy. She really wants to be involved in Jimmy's adventures, but she often says that she doesn't care when she's not invited, but she always tends to find a way to get involved. Now we always have the Moldies. This is the gang led by Archie Mould. He's always trying to get one up on Roger. It tends to not happen though. The book is illustrated fantastically by Lunt Roberts. The illustrator manages to get action into every image. The only thing that I find unfortunate is there just aren't enough of the images. Now for the original books, they were illustrated by Lunt Roberts, but you'll probably recognise this style of illustration, and this was Thomas Henry. Now I've read in a lot of places that Jimmy was basically just like William, but I plead the case that he's not. Jimmy obviously being younger, but also Jimmy is a really thoughtful lad. He often saves up his money to buy presents for others. He's always there trying to protect his older brother Roger and stand up for him when he's not around. He's just a very kind and thoughtful lad. One heartwarming story is when they come across Sandy the dog. Jimmy has got his brother Roger a penknife for his birthday, but then an uncle swoops in just before Roger's birthday and gives him this fantastic penknife that has every attachment known to mankind. And Jimmy realises that at this point the penknife he's bought, you know, it's just pointless to give it to Roger. But he comes across this dog, and while he's been told by his parents that he's not allowed to encourage dogs back to their house, what he does do is sort of whistle, and Sandy just kind of follows along. Jimmy keeps looking back. You know, he was never told not to look back, and he was never told not to whistle. And in this way he manages to get Sandy back to his garden. Now it's the dad here that really doesn't want a dog, until of course he goes to see the dog and ends up playing with it. Unfortunately, the woman whose dog it actually is comes to claim him. But the next morning, Jimmy actually goes to see Sandy, sees that he's been kept outdoors and the only place he'll ever live is in the garden looking after the chicken coop. But fortunately for them, there'd been a robbery that morning, and Jimmy on the way had picked up a rug which he was going to give to Sandy, so Sandy had something to sleep on. The woman, finding that Sandy was no good as a guard dog, but seeing that Jimmy had the blanket that she was left by her grandmother, was quite willing to exchange, and then Jimmy trotted home with Sandy and delivered Sandy to Roger as a birthday present. Roger was so excited that he actually said that they could share Sandy together. Now, of course, these Jimmy stories are brilliant on paper, but there are 5 stories within a compilation called Just Jimmy that Martin Jarvis performed a few years back. All 5 stories are from the initial Jimmy book. Of course, they're fantastic to listen to because Martin Jarvis is so good at capturing the voices and the way that people speak. Yeah, a fantastic audiobook to listen to. It's available on Audible. They do trials every so often, so if you can get a free credit, download Jimmy. Otherwise, it's still worth buying. It's a really fantastic set of stories. Yeah. So, have you read Jimmy? Listened to the audiobook? Are you interested in reading Jimmy or finding out more about him? Just let me know in the comments. Thank you. Bye.